Okay, so it's been a while since I've recorded a type of video like this, around a month, because I simply just got bored, but I'm gonna do it again. So this one's gonna be, what if the United Kingdom formed an empire? Now, I'm just gonna recap it as I do in every single video. This is inspired by Despro, it's unrealistic, and alliances are not counted. So, let's go into the first war. Okay, that is not nice. I'm just gonna paint all of that. And I'm gonna try to make this semi-realistic, like more realistic than the others were. So I'm gonna make the UK invade Guyana. Well, let's see how this war would go. Okay, so quick announcement. I know how I said I'd make this semi-realistic and then proceeded to make one of the most unrealistic wars ever, but yeah, I guess I mean that's me. Now the British Navy pushes a path from the region of Cornwall, and after sending all of its assets across the Pacific, it reaches the Guianan coast. Is that how you say it? I don't know. So it reaches the coast of Guyana, and let's just say the Guianans are a bit scared. Their timbers are shivering right now. And then the British follow with landing into northern Guyana. So they land into okay, wait, I'm having technological issues. I have not done this in a while. They land into northern Guyana and take out all of the forces stationed alongside the coast really efficiently. So it's a very nice, and yeah, Guyana falls within a couple of weeks of fighting. So I don't think there's any need for a peace treaty, because it's just gonna be a full annexation. So let's pretend like that's that's British. And now let me start with the second war of the video. Sorry if this looks like an Adiz Pro copy, but like there's only so many ways which you could take as Britain. So Britain invades Ireland. I'm sorry that's very typical and stuff, but I mean, oh well. And let's see how this war would go. So the British push and cut off this region of Ireland in the north, and start pushing down from Belfast to try and capture Dublin with around like I don't know what an accurate number would be. Let's say 100,000 troops. They also push around the coast and they make a big I don't know how to say it, like a big oval into the Irish land, creating a big front which the Irish cannot handle. So the sides get squeezed and squeezed, and eventually Dublin falls and Ireland surrenders. This also will not need much of a peace treaty. All that it shall need will be an erasing of the border. So let's do that, and you'll see what the next part of the video is too. So the British, after the annexation of Guyana and Ireland, are looking pretty strong. They're starting to they're starting to rebuild their colonial empire, and now they're getting a bit they're getting a bit overconfident, I'll say. So they declare war on a coalition of nations in southern Africa. So this is the coalition of nations in southern Africa, and let's see how this war would go. So I'm not gonna do another naval sequence because I'm sure they're tedious. But they move their navy from the coast of Guyana up to like the northern coast of Namibia, and they secure a couple of victories there, making a quite outstretched front line. So keep in mind now that the land army of the British is definitely weaker than the land army of all of these nations combined, especially if they're in a different continent. Like in their own continent, maybe it would be decent, but like they're like a continent and a half away. So they have success against Namibia because not the strongest of nations, to say the least. But South African reinforcements stabilizes the line. The British still make slight push throughs, but it's a very slow war. So the British decide, because they have a dominant navy, they decide, why not? So they land in Cape Town and manage to actually securely capture the city. So now South Africa is kind of in retreat. The British are pushing their fortifications from Cape Town because the South Africans were expecting them to land in Cape Town, and they're also planning more landings. They land over here in like the Durban area, and it's just a mess. It's a mess for the South Africans. The Botswanans and Zimbabweans are still fine, but the rest really aren't. Following this great success against South Africa, the British can extend their front from Namibia and even push it slightly into South Africa. So this is a great leap for the British ideals of conquest, and they managed to meet up and connect their front with that of South Africa. And now it's just a slight tedious pushing process, and the rest of the nations in the war surrender. So they all surrender to Britain. Now let's take a look at the peace treaty. Okay, so this is what the peace treaty would look like. The British would take most of the Western Cape region of South Africa and this region of Namibia, which I'm afraid to pronounce because it'll sound horrible. I'll butcher it. And following this great land loss for both of them, they just decide to unite. So now there's a nation which was dissolved voluntarily, reformed. In the meantime, the Brits are getting very imperial. So they're getting very imperialistic. They have a very large amount of land now, which is overseas. I accidentally removed their Ireland land. Just pretend that it's theirs. I'll fix it in the next cut. And now the Europeans are getting a bit antsy. So the Spanish and the French declare war on the British. Now, this would be horrible for the British if they hadn't been, rich. So, let's see how the war would go. So, the war would begin with the British securing very clear control over the English Channel and also into surprisingly, the Bay of Biscay, because you'd think that the French and Spanish would have a very tight grip over it. But no, the British patrolled all the coasts and set up a very large naval blockade, which goes from the waters of Calais all the way down to Portugal. And following this great encirclement, this great blockade, these nations start to depend heavily on Gibraltar, which the British have under their it's a Mediterranean trade, which has to go through Gibraltar, which is British. So the Spanish aren't really having a very fun time right now. They're very mad, and as the British continue exercising their naval dominance, they make a full naval blockade of these nations. Following that, they land into Brittany and quickly secure all of the region, and they land into the Leon region of Spain. So this isn't looking too good for the blue team, and it's only going to get worse as the British secure all of the northern coast of France, and they also secure Alsace-Lorraine and all of this middle area, capture Paris. France falls, and they move into Barcelona, and Spain realizes that it's helpless right now, so it just surrenders. Now, let's take a look at this peace treaty. Sorry if I'm a bit rusty though in this video though. Sorry if it's less entertaining commentary, less entertaining video quality. I haven't made a video of this in weeks, so kind of my fault, but sorry. Okay, well, see you at the peace treaty. Okay, so these peace treaties are pretty brutal. The British from Spain gets like this entire like Castile Leon and I think Spanish Galicia region. Sorry if I'm getting their names wrong. This entire like Bordeaux region, Brittany, and Calais. So they definitely gain a bunch of land from this war. And now time for the final war of the video. Now this war will be a quite major war. They start a war with the United States of America. So no, not Canada too. So it's just the United States of America versus Britain, a 1v1. So let's see how this war would go. So the British overall have a stronger navy, but the and a stronger economy at this point, but the Americans still have their trusty army with them. So they managed to, like, because of the British not being very active in this region, they managed to take out Guyana. They managed to take it back from the British, which is a quite crushing blow to them because that was their only like land, which was not a small island left in North America. But they'll be able to recover. In the meantime, they set up naval blockade of the east coast of America. So now they're trying to. This is going to be very difficult for them to accomplish, but they're setting up a naval blockade of the east coast of America so that they won't be able to receive any trade from the east. They'll still be able to receive some trade from the west, but like for trade partners in Europe, this will be devastating. So they set up a successful naval blockade of the United States of America, and they make their first offensive move, which is take back Guyana. So they take back Guyana from the hands of the Americans. They liberate Guyana once more, and they also do one more thing. They land in Florida. So most of the American army, the British managed to trick the Americans using uncoded fake radio messages into believing that they're gonna land in North Carolina. So they moved all of their army there, but in reality they landed in Florida. So they managed to push back the Americans there and reach a stalemate around this line. In the meantime, the British constantly attack and get Maine too, and they're just harassing the enemy, and they don't know where their next attack can come from, the Americans. So it's very difficult for them to predict any sort of movement until the attack actually comes. And yeah, there's a couple of small British blushes, and eventually this war ends in like a stalemate kind of British victory because they captured like land, but a stalemate at the same time. And they decide to meet for a peace treaty. Let's see what that peace treaty would look like. So this is what the peace treaty would look like. The British would gain a significant chunk of Florida and Maine, but they'd leave the rest of America untouched. Now I know this is super unrealistic, but that's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So if you get mad at it, that's kind of just lame, but I mean, okay. And yeah, that's what Britain will look like at the end of this video. It'll have scattered colonial possessions in Africa, North America. Okay, wait, I forgot to paint Guyana. There. So it'll have scattered possessions in Europe, Africa, South America, and North America. Well, thank you for watching this video. And yeah, hope you have a wonderful day, see you.